appreciate the opportunity to speak here tonight about something that should be very important, and I believe is very important to every one of us, whether we acknowledge and understand the importance or not. After the change in the last election, when we got the majority after 8 years, and this is my 10th year in Congress, and as Mr. Boyd said, I am the policy co-chair for the Blue Dog Coalition. The leadership was invited of the Blue Dog Coalition, along with the leadership of a group called the New Democratic Coalition, over to the White House to meet with the President. And frankly, I think all of us appreciated the opportunity to go over and meet with the President, because we want to discuss items of interest to people in our nation, and not on a partisan basis, but simply to find some common ground where we could work together. There were, I believe, 9 of us all together, 4 from the Blue Dog Coalition and 5 from the New Democratic Coalition, and we met up in my office before we went over. We only had a 45-minute meeting, and I think all of us had a little concern that somebody, if we didn't have any ground rules, might spend more time and take virtually all the time. And so we agreed if we had a chance to speak at all, and the President was running the meeting, we'd each take 2 minutes. When it was my turn, I said, Mr. President, I'm a year older than you are. I have 7.5 grandchildren, and we have mortgaged their future. I said, I'm not pointing at you and your administration. This goes back 25 years for Democratic and Republican presidents, although what I didn't say, because I was trying to find common ground, was our debt in this country has gone up over $3.4 trillion in the last 7 years. Fully a third of our debt has been added in the last 7 years of this presidency. And I think, I tell folks back home all the time, 80% of what we do in Congress should not be about Democrats and Republicans. It ought to be about taking care of our people in our country. And I think people out there really believe that and want that to happen. Put aside this partisanship and let's work together. And working together for fiscal responsibility should not be a partisan matter at all. We should be all concerned about that because, as Mr. Scott, the previous speaker, pointed out, we have a large portion of our debt right now held by foreign nations. Who might have control over some of our actions in the future by virtue of the fact that they hold our debt. We should be very concerned about that and try to do something positive about that. Mr. Speaker, we have an opportunity, I think, at this time with the reinstitution of a rule called PAYGO that expired in 2002. And some of the previous speakers, I think, have told you PAYGO simply means pay as you go. If you have a new spending proposal, a new program proposal, or a new tax cut, Section 1 is here's my proposal, and Section 2 is here's how it's paid for so it's revenue neutral and doesn't increase our deficit and our debt. To me, that is a very simple, understandable rule that we all should follow. And if we do that, we can stop this increase, which is going to be detrimental to future generations in our country. The Blue Dogs passed out a chart that's not manufactured or made by our group. I think it's U.S. budget something, and you can get it on the website, but it shows a bar graph of expenditures in our country of different categories of expenditures. And the big 3 bars on the bottom are defense. Most people would imagine we all want an adequate defense for our nation. Department of Health and Human Services, which basically is Medicare, and the third is interest on our national debt. Interest on our national debt is the 3rd largest category of expenditure in our federal budget at this time. That's money that can be used for education, for health care, for anything worthwhile besides paying interest on a debt. Folks, we've got to get back to living like most American families do within a budget. We've got to do this not just for us. It's not about us. It's about our children and our grandchildren and future generations in this country. I believe we owe them the very best, and we owe them to do that. And I ask that our compatriots across the aisle, our Republican friends, join with us and support this concept of PAYGO, because we need to do this for future generations in our country. I yield back. Thank you.